Hello and welcome to The Print. Aero India is coming up, and we have with us William Blair. He's the Chief Executive of the Lockheed Martin India to talk to us about what the big American aerospace major is planning to do, not just at the Aero India, but also in the future ahead as far as India is concerned. Welcome to The Print.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that and the opportunity to talk with you today.
Thank you. To begin with, Aero India is coming up. What's your big focus as far as the Aero India is concerned? What do we get to see at the Aero India?
Well, you'll see a lot, but I think what I want to highlight is both our foundation that we've established in India, as well as the future capabilities that we can bring to meet India's urgent and emerging requirements to keep pace with the threat. So first and foremost, I think you're going to see a lot of aircraft flying, as you would at an air show. And it's going to be very international. And so we actually are bringing our F-21 cockpit demonstrator. So that's our offering for the multi-role fighter aircraft requirement from the Indian Air Force. And so if you come visit us at our booth or our chalet, you'll get a good feel for what is the capability that we're offering and to be able to fly that through our cockpit demonstrator. Also, we're very pleased to be supporting the C-130J for well over a decade now with the Indian Air Force. And so I think and hope that we'll see one of our C-130Js there from the Indian Air Force. And it really brings world-class multi-mission capability. And then MH-60 Romeos, they've been inducted with the Indian Navy. We'll be highlighting how we're supporting our Indian Navy customer, both on the initial deliveries that were delivered in record time in the US and the initial deliveries here in India as they integrate that into the Indian Navy. And then you'll also see Javelin. We'll have our Javelin a demonstrator that we use with our partner. And I think that's getting a lot of attention in terms of capability, both in terms of an infantry-capable ATGM solution, but also what could be vehicle mounted. And so I think, and then last but not least, the S-92 helicopter. We've produced S-92 cabins with our partner Tata. So when I mentioned our foundation is really how we've engaged our suppliers, the aerospace and defense ecosystem, and we've done that both with our partner Tata through Tata Lockheed Martin Aerostructures Limited, and also with Tata Sikorsky Aerospace Limited. And so we see, an emerging requirement in the heavy helicopter requirement for which the S-92 is a good fit. We've already produced 157 cabins through Tata, and we've produced over 180 C-130J empennages. So you'll get a strong feeling of that foundation, not just with our partner, but the whole aerospace and defense ecosystem.
So, the S-92, just for the viewers, it's in the heavy category. And this is the same helicopter that the American president also flies in?
Yeah, and I guess you'd probably put it in the medium heavy category because we're also offering a CH-53K capability in the very heavy lift. And you'll see that also at Aero India. But to your question on the S-92, yes, we're very pleased to be providing that capability for the presidential helicopter.
So the structure which is made here in India is the one that is used by you for global supply, including to the US, of course.
Well, we produced 157 cabins, like I said, and so that feeds in as part of our global supply chain.
Okay. In terms of future programs, what is the big program that you're looking at? You are into, we have the C-130J. Possibly, there could be more orders for C-130J. That would be good news for you. You are supplying now with the Navy with the Romeos. 6 of them have been delivered. The order was for 24. 6 of them have already been delivered. I happen to see 2 of those Romeos here in India. But in terms of future contracts or in terms of future business, especially in the defense sector, what are the big programs that you're looking at?
Well, I think the biggest program that's probably going to get a lot of attention when we're at Aero India is the multi-role fighter aircraft requirement for the Indian Air Force. 114 aircraft. We're offering the F-21, and that is really world-class capability. 12,000-hour multi-mission capability, triple missile launcher adapter, advanced sensors and systems. And that's really, I think, going to fit an urgent need within the fleet of the Indian Air Force, the MRFA requirements. So I think that's the biggest program on the horizon. But sustaining the current fleet, the C-130Js, we're looking at how can we have more of a local solution when we look at sustainment, maintenance, repair, and overhaul. We already work very closely with the Indian Air Force on that. Of course, the MH-60 Romeo induction. I mean, that's part of our following through on our commitment. It's not just sign the deal. It's how can we rapidly deliver and support and sustain the integration of that capability into the Indian Navy, and I think that's key. And then last but not least, the Indian Army is looking at vehicle requirements, and so we already support the light specialist vehicle as one of the transfer of technologies we provided with Ashok Leyland a decade ago, and so you're going to start to see how those requirements fructify going forward as part of the complete solution, across the services.
You're also looking at the FICV, the Future Infantry Combat Vehicle.
Correct. Yeah. So we offer the Javelin anti-tank guided missile as part of an ATGM solution that can fit the Indian Army requirements, both mechanized and infantry going forward.
When you talk about the MRFA, that's a big program that you're looking at. But when it comes to MRFA, India already flies the Tejas. The Air Force has gone in for additional 83 Tejas Mark 1A. Now there is a talk about the Tejas Mark II, which will no longer be the light combat. It would be in the medium category of it, is what they're looking at. India also operates, of course, the Sukhois, besides Sukhois, 36 Rafale. So how does this F-21 really figure in the scheme of things? Of course, there is an MRFA program for which you'll be offering the F-21, but so is the Rafale is also going to be there, if at all there's a competition eventually. So why should India really go in for the F-21 if you already have the Tejas and there's all talk of probably a small repeat order for the Rafale? So why should India really go in for the F-21?
Well, I think we feel that a single engine fighter, what we're offering, the F-21, uniquely fits in between the light combat aircraft underneath it and then the larger twin aircraft above it. It features really a very low life cycle cost by being a single engine fighter and lower fuel burn, but still packing the punch that's required to meet the requirement and really counter the adversary going forward. With the triple missile launcher adapter that I talked about, being able to carry the most advanced weapons and systems is really, really an important part of the solution. And then ultimately, self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, we've already demonstrated through our partnerships, through our engaging the supply chain, our ability to engage that ecosystem. We've already qualified production of the fighter wings at our Tata Lockheed Martin Aerostructures Limited joint venture. That's an investment in advance of requirement, and it's not a small investment. It's a really unique capability to have a 12,000-hour 9G wing, really first of its kind in India, and being able to produce that is going to be an important part of our solution under Atmanirbhar Bharat to do that through partners. And then sustainability. You need to look at the life cycle cost. I mean, I think it's both the acquisition and the life cycle sustainability, availability, and reliability. And I think we've proven the capability of our platform globally with global customers in very challenging environments, and we would bring that experience. And then also the experience we've developed with the F-35 and the F-22, some of the solutions of the cockpit and the kind of the user interface, which I think is equally important for the pilots that would operate the multi-role fighter aircraft. And so ultimately it's a mix. What's the right mix that the Indian Air Force requires, that the services need to keep pace with the threat? Its capability and urgency on a timely basis, and how do you do that in a complementary way to the indigenous aircraft programs?
And the F-21 would something be built not just for India, but if there is any foreign order, that would also be built here in India?
I think that's the opportunity. When we look at building up a certain capability subject to both India and the U.S. In terms of how we would we would bring that together. But we look at the Self-Reliant India initiative is to make in India and to also make for the world. And so in any system or capability, we're going to try to work with the governments to ensure that that becomes a catalyst to be part of a much bigger requirement in an ecosystem.
Perfect. Thank you so much for speaking to ThePrint, and best of luck for your MRFA program.
Great.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.